Good evening. Congratulations to everybody who won an award. I want to thank you for inviting me. It's really nice to be here. I was delighted to be invited because I want to get out. I'm pretty new at the magazine. I want to get out and tell people what's going on as often as I can. Get all of you in one room makes it really easy. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, tell you a little bit about the magazine, and then I'll take some questions if you have any after that. I trained as a journalist. I started almost 20 years ago with the magazine Architecture in Washington. I was involved with, I was the editor covering sort of business and politics for the magazine. I worked with Architecture for 13 years until it closed in 2006, both on and off staff. It was covering the business and politics of design. It was kind of a niche. It was a rich niche. Nobody else wanted to do it, so I got to do it. It was a lot of fun. After Architecture, I worked in Washington City paper, which is kind of like the Westward of DC, the Free Weekly. And then I did, as Ian had told you, I worked for 6 years for the New York Times covering, architecture and design. And then this sort of epiphany occurred when I realized that sort of urban planning and public health were coming together, and the net-driven landscape, and everything sort of snowballed. And I think I had found a new niche at that point, and it's been really, really exciting ever since. I did also freelance for the past 10 years. I was working for MetHome, I was working for ID, the Architect's newspaper. In that string of names, you will note a few failed ones because the media economy is so lousy. It was really sad to lose ID magazine. It was very sad to lose Metropolitan Home. Architecture is no longer in business. Architect took its place. I was involved with the startup of Architect, but it was really sad to lose a 97-year-old title in architecture, which is why it was so nice to find the job at ASLA, because it just turned 100 years old. And the difference here is that landscape architecture is not published for a profit, so it's kind of removed from the mean economics of publishing. It is a break-even business. They don't want to make a profit off it. They want to break even so that they don't have to monkey around with the IRS. It is also great. And it's published as a reader service. And for a lot of people who may not be as engaged with ASLA as some of you are, it is the only service some members see because they're really super busy. They focus on their business, they focus on their families or whatever, and the magazine is all they get every month for their membership. So we want to make it really super good. It's really exciting though because landscape architecture is the place to be, as I keep saying, in the design world. It is the most exciting of design professions. I truly believe that because there is so much that's winding up in landscape these days. I mean, you've got the environment, you've got ecology, you've got water, you've got public health, you've got climate change, land use, you've got the big picture stuff like that. And then you've still got the little stuff, the relatively smaller stuff like, parks, playgrounds, and plazas, and things that bring joy to people's lives. So, for that reason, I mean, the readership, I gotta say, of the magazine is such a close readership. Having worked in architecture for almost 20 years, architects don't read the magazines I've worked before. They look at the pictures and they move on. And you may treat landscape architecture the same way, but I know a lot of people who read the magazine really closely, and they let us know about it all the time. So that makes it all the more fun for me. I got a crash course in the history of both the magazine and the landscape architecture profession when we put out our centennial issue this month. We just turned 100. Many of you may have seen it already. We locked a couple of editors in a room for several weeks. I got there in May, and one of the first things they said was that I was throwing a 100th birthday party in a few months, and that I needed to get ready. So I took two of our best writers, and I put them in the archives, and they combed out all the best stuff. I gotta say, it was really, really interesting, especially for me to see it stretch in the 60s and 70s when Grady Clay was the editor. We did an interview with Grady Clay in that issue, and it was really inspirational because Grady was the first person to edit the magazine who was not trained as a landscape architect. He was trained as a reporter. And then I feel it gives me some legitimacy. He really, really redefined the magazine with art and politics and social studies and things that it never had before, and really changed the way I think people regard the profession. So that was a great way, that was a really, really great immersion in the history of the magazine as we launched into what will be a complete redesign and reorganization of the magazine for 2011. We're hard at work on that now. It was one of the things I was charged to do when I was hired. The magazine hasn't really been refreshed in, I guess, 15, 16 years, and it's time. So we've hired a firm in Washington called Design Army, and they are producing a really, really beautiful design. I asked them to make it contemporary but classic. I asked them to make it simple and flexible so that it would be really easy to navigate, but would be both practical and aspirational, because I think it really has to be both. So the redesign is one thing, but we are also trying to bring in new kinds of content, and that's why I want to get out and talk, because I really need the help of the readers as much as possible. Retrain the reader to get in touch with us, to re-engage with the magazine, and tell us what you need, and what you want, and what you know. Just to give you a real quick thumbnail of what we're doing, the magazine right now, its organization is a little muddled in front, so I want to give it kind of a really clear front, middle, and back, like a good novel, a beginning, a middle, and an end. So the front is going to be kind of what I think of as fast information, news about business and politics and economics and regulation, legal stuff, what's going on in cities and towns and campuses, the stuff you need to know now. The middle of the book is going to be your sort of mainstays, the coverage of projects, and also really hard, deep reported, topical pieces. We've got a lot of good stuff in the works in that regard. The back of the book is what I'm kind of calling the slow food of the magazine. It's going to be the brain food, where you can read it a month or two later and you haven't missed anything. Things on education, research, theory, history, books, all that sort of thinky stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that. So a couple things people ask me. One is, who is this magazine for? Am I going to try to turn it into some sort of general interest publication? And the answer is a flat no. There's really nowhere else to learn how to run a landscape architecture firm or to be engaged with this business. You don't get that from reading Fast Company, nice as it is, or Wired, or anything else. I really, really want the magazine to remain with the core readership of landscape architecture. Now, if our friends in Pueblo, Colorado, in the city government, and elsewhere, if decision makers, developers, other politicians, architects, and so forth, planners, if they want to get in on the act, I really hope they will. Anybody who wants to climb aboard can, but it's really for landscape architects. It's not going to become garden design. It's not going to become Duell. Have no worries about that. The other question I get frequently is about the web. Why did I decide to design the magazine first rather than launch a new life on the web? And the reason is we don't really have a presence on the web yet. I mean, if you've seen it, it's sort of hang-dog and minimal. ASLA does very well with land online and the dirt. They do a great job. And if we can get up to their kind of cadence, I will be pleased. But what I figured was, because we didn't really have a presence on the web, I didn't want two identities. I didn't want this really slick new thing on the web and then have this magazine that needed refreshment. So we're going to do the print product first because I feel like it's the anchor of a larger editorial space where you can then, really cheap space on the web. You can add a lot of extras on the web and do blogs from the staff and contributors and things like that. So that's why the magazine comes first. It's 100 years old, it's the keystone, it's what people know. So I wanted to do that first, nail it down, and then expand our electronic life. And I would just close by saying, with all of this, and the reason I'd really like to get out and talk is that we need your help. No tip is too small. No idea is too small. I'm kind of shocked at the slow trickle of projects into the magazine's offices. Some places I've worked, you had to slam the door to keep those proposals away. For projects, send them in. If you know of some disturbing thing going on in city government, county government, at the state level, in politics, please let us know. Local things become national things very, very quickly. And we really want to help our readers put all of these pieces together. So that's my appeal. I want to thank you for having me here. I'm really enjoying myself, and I'm happy to take any questions.